Hello everyone, this is Angie at Chicken Scratch, and today I'm going to share with you how to make this no upside down prints on your fabric baskets. In other words, this is a directionally correct fabric basket. I hope you enjoy the video. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make your fabric baskets so that you don't have upside down words or upside down animals. So I've got my fabric all ready here, but I'm going to show you just in case you have purchased a yard of fabric. Let's pretend that this is the same fabric, okay? The animal's bottom of their body is on the left. Their heads are at the top. I'm going to cut this at 10 1/4 on this side. So that's at their head, 10 1/4. And then on this side of the fabric, I'm going to cut it at 10 inches. So that's what I've done here is I've cut this at 10 1/4. And then this side is 10 inches. So 10 1/4 by 10. We don't have to worry about the lining fabric because that's not directional, so it doesn't matter. So now what we're going to do is attach our fusible fleece to our front fabric and to our lining fabric. And I'm using two different interfacings. Those item numbers will be on my PDF, my free PDF. Okay, so I'm going to turn this over. And you want to make sure that you add this scratchy side to the fabric, okay? So there's that one. And then I'll straighten this too when we get it. And the last one. And then we're going to get the heat press. You can use your iron. I'm going to use my heat press. So I'll be right back. Okay, so what I've got here is a wool mat, a Teflon sheet, and then a pressing cloth. This is the package for the pressing cloth, okay? So what I'm gonna do is place, this is the lining fabric. I'm gonna place this on here, and then I'm gonna place, well, you can add your water at this point, or you can add it on top of the pressing cloth. So now I'm gonna take my pressing cloth, and I'm going to take my heat press, Cricut heat press, and I'm going to press it. Normally I do 16 seconds. For some reason I have it on 20 right now. So it's 300 degrees, 16 seconds. And then I do this in two parts because this piece is not big enough to do this whole thing. So then I'll do this again. But I'm going to change the timer real quick. So you press the timer and then hit the minus, and then there's that. And then now I'm going to do the bottom part. I will fast forward this. So I'm going to do all 4 pieces. So 2 lining pieces and 2 front fabric pieces. Okay, so we've just pressed our fusible fleece and interfacing. You can use your iron. I use the heat press because I make so many of these baskets. It's so much easier on my hands, arms, and shoulders to use the Cricut heat press. Okay, so now we want to add our label, but before we do that, I want to give you one very important reminder. Your fabric, because we want to keep it directional, this measures 10 1/4 this way and 10 inches this way. You want to make sure when you're assembling the lining fabric that it's going in the same direction, okay? So I can tell that these 2 pieces are different measurements, see? So we want to make sure that our lining fabric is in the same orientation. So before I go any further, well, you want to place these right sides together, okay? So let's do that real quick. Right sides together. And then I'm just going to put a clip at the top. You can use a clip or a pin or whatever. That's going to signify to me that this is the top because it's in the center. I usually just pin or clip on the sides. So then now we want to clip the bottom and we're going to go sew straight across. while we're there, let's go ahead and sew the sides. So we're going to do down, around, and down, and we are not sewing where this clip is in the middle. Okay, so now for the front fabric, we're going to add our label first. If you don't have a label, you can skip this step. So I'm just going to place it over here on the side, and then I'm going to clip it. And then you have to pin it because you have to remove that clip to sew it. So I'm going to pin this and then place these right sides together. I don't have to clip the top because I can see the writing. So we're going to clip the bottom because we're going to be sewing across the bottom. And then while we're over there, we're going to go ahead and sew down the left side, the right side, and the bottom. We're not going to sew the top. So I'm going to open up that clip and then pin one more time over here. So this is where the label is, okay? I'm going to take this to the sewing machine. I'm going to sew down this side, and the bottom. Again, we are not sewing the top, okay? Okay, so we're going to sew with a 1/4 inch seam. Okay, so now that we've sewn the sides and the bottom, we want to make sure that we caught our label if you use the label. Okay, so I got it. That's good. Okay, so now we want to box the corners, and I'm going to take this 3.5 by 6.5 Creative Grids ruler. We're going to be using 2 inches to box the corners, and we are going to make sure that we line up the 2 inches on the seam. So where we sewed, not on the edge of the fabric. So here's the 2 inches on the left, 2 inches on the bottom, and then we're going to use an erasable marker to draw that line. Same thing on this side, so 2 inches. And with all these lights, I'm having a hard time seeing, but I think that's it right there. Okay, same thing for the lining fabric. Next, you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut that square out. Same thing for the front fabric. And now this one. Now the next step is we're going to open this up and we're going to line that up and we're going to clip it. And then we're going to take this to the sewing machine and sew straight across. So same thing on this side, lining that up. Okay, there's that one. Same thing for the lining. Okay, so let's recap that really quick. We're just going to sew straight across here, straight across on both pieces. Once again, we're going to be sewing with a 1/4 inch seam. Okay, so this is the front of our basket. This is the lining, so we're going to turn the lining right sides out. And I'm just going to use my finger to push those corners out. Okay, that's how it looks right now. So we're going to place it right sides together inside here. And we want to line up those seams. And then I'm going to use my clips and I'm going to clip both sides. And you want to make sure that you get that lining all the way in there, okay? So preferably take your fingers or a tool and press those or push those corners in. Okay, so now this side, same thing, I'm going to clip. Now we have to leave an opening so that we can turn our bag right side out. So I'm going to take one of my pins here and I'm going to mark that area. And then over here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start sewing here, go all the way around, and I'm going to stop sewing here. That really doesn't give me much room, does it? Let me move that a little bit. So here's my opening. Now I want to use my clips to just hold everything in place because we're going to be sewing across this. Now this is the only spot that I have a different seam allowance. So like I said, I'm going to start sewing here, go all the way around, stop sewing here, and I'm actually going to use a 1/2 inch seam to sew this, okay? For this step, I want to remove this piece. And then, like I said, I'm going to sew with a 1/2 inch seam. I have a 1/2 inch that's over here on this plate, and that's what I'm lining it up with, okay? Okay, so here is our opening. So we're going to push the bag through that hole. And then use your fingers to press those corners out or push those corners out. Okay, so this is our lining fabric, so we need to take that and place it inside the outside fabric. Isn't this such cute fabric? It has been very popular this year. Okay, so we need to sew across the top and we need to close that opening. So I'm going to start on my seams here and I'm going to clip those. And then I'm going to go around the top and kind of roll this. If you've made any of these baskets, you know that sometimes you can see the lining fabric from the outside. So you kind of want to roll those and snip these threads before you sew. Yeah, because if you sew over them, that makes it even harder to get rid of them. Ask me how I know that. Okay, so clip and another clip. That's mainly what you're doing is holding that lining fabric on the inside. That's why you're using the clips, or that's why I'm using them, I should say. Okay, now we got to close this opening. I've heard some people say that they use fabric glue first and then they sew it. So if you have trouble closing this opening, try out using some fabric glue, okay? I also think using that 1/2 inch seam makes this part a whole lot easier because it gives you more to sew with. Okay, we're going back over to the sewing machine and we're going to stitch across the whole top. For this step, we're going back to the 1/4 inch seam. And I'm going to start sewing in this seam right here. Okay, so we are done, and I'm just going to make sure that everything looks good. We also want to trim or snip these extra threads right here. Okay, so let me show you what fits in here. I fold the sides down like this, and I have these all over my house. Okay, so now let's take this box of Kleenex, and it fits in there just like that. Super cute, right? Now if I could just figure out a way to cover that up. That's an eyesore. But usually when the tissue's up, you know, it looks like that. So super cute. Here's one of the other ones I made. And then this is the fabric tray that I made. So I do have a video for that as well if you want to see how to make that. Okay, so that wraps up this project. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.